I knew that the Taliban was going to give Afghanistan some trouble when the US left, but I think many of us never dreamed that this situation would take place. It's one thing looking at it from the news, but when you have your friends there, when you have your staff there, when you have past students there, and they're in a panic, there's hardly any words to explain the grief and the sadness that I'm feeling right now. And the only thing I know to do is to work as much as I can to help the people that I know and their families get safely out of the country.
Deborah Rodriguez, or who is so lovingly called Debbie, is an American author, hairdresser, and humanitarian. She went to Afghanistan as part of a group offering aid after the fall of the Taliban. She later opened a coffee shop in Kabul and pens her experience of her life and time in Afghanistan in the form of her novels, among which 3 of her novels, The Little Coffee Shop of Kabul, Kabul Beauty School, and The Moroccan Daughter, are bestsellers. Do you believe in the magic of life? Well, our guest on today's show is someone who truly believes that, and her story is a story which definitely needs to be told. Hi, my name is Sadaf and I welcome you all to Women Influencers Talk Show. So if you're coming here for the very first time, I urge you to subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon for future notification, and also follow me on Instagram at sadaf.rizvi. Women Influencers Talk Show. It's your chance to influence. Deborah, welcome to Women Influencers Talk Show. I have been waiting to do this interview since the time I laid my hands on your books. I mean, they are just amazing. They are like memoirs out of your life. They are like journals, and they're so intriguing. So welcome to Women Influencers Talk Show. I am so happy and honored to do this interview. My first question to you would be about your childhood years and how did you wanted to become a stage performer?
When I was a little girl, I always wanted to act or be on the stage or something. And I did drama like everybody else did in high school, but then I didn't pursue it. The one thing I think now, number one, I'm a hairdresser, and so it's like with each haircut or anybody's hair, it's like the curtain opens. I do my performance and I do hair, and then the curtain closes, and then again it's repeated anytime I do someone's hair. But also there's a part of me that feels like I'm performing in a way with my books. So when I'm writing a book, I almost feel like it's like I'm writing, I can visualize it, I can see myself on the stage performing it. So I think that I'm getting my performance stuff out in many other ways.
Wonderful. Deborah, you had mentioned that choosing to be a hairdresser and to be a mom were 2 best decisions of your life. Could you please elaborate on that?
Becoming a mom, and I must say now, becoming a grandmother, are probably the most rewarding things in my life. To see your children grow up to be wonderful spouses, amazing parents, probably is, I can't even give the words to how that makes me feel. Being a hairdresser, I'll have to say that I grew up knowing that I was going to be a hairdresser, not necessarily wanting to be a hairdresser, but it was something that my family, we were all hairdressers. Being a hairdresser opened up so many doors for me. I opened the Kabul Beauty School. I feel that I've made so many close friends and so many opportunities were given to me because I was a hairdresser. I was that average gal. I wasn't something, people could relate to me. And I think that's with my books. I am not somebody with 100 acronyms behind their name. I'm Deborah Rodriguez, hairdresser, humanitarian, and author. And the author part literally was birthed because I was a hairdresser.
Sure, and you inspire us so much. Now we have with us Daniel, all the way from Nairobi, Kenya, who has been knowing you since past 15 years. Let's see what he has to say for you.
Hi, my name is Daniel Cooney, and I've known Debbie since 2005 when I was in Kabul as a correspondent there for Associated Press, and she became my hairdresser. She inspired me then, and she has inspired me ever since. She is a seemingly fearless woman. She has great respect for peoples and culture all around the world. She can do absolutely anything.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and I totally agree with you. Debbie can do almost anything, and that she has proven many times. Coming back to you, Debbie, you say that you have restless feet. Now, what did that lead you into?
I do feel like I have a bit of a restlessness, not as much now as I did. Yeah, it led me into a lot of, I have to say, some bad choices that thank goodness I've recovered from. I travel a lot. That's the one thing. I always felt like every place that I went to, I thought, could this be home? I spent an enormous amount of time in India. I fell in love with India when I was really young. In fact, I think going to India was part of my restless feet situation. I remember when I was in 4th grade, I was supposed to draw what home looked like on the map. So I was supposed to draw Michigan is what they wanted me to do. I drew India. And so I was drawn to India constantly, doing whatever I could, humanitarian things, visiting friends. And also, and that opened the door to feeling comfortable outside of the United States, and then going to Afghanistan, and basically just traveling the world, but not as a vacation. I like to travel the world, seeing what can I do maybe to make a difference? How does that work for me? Or I travel for research for the book. So I think Restless Feet has also given birth to a lot of my books.
Sure. And all I can say is that hearing you draw a map of India when somebody spoke to you about your home is truly emotional for me. Now, you have been a traveler. I'm sure you have gathered so much experience and you've had some amazing time while you traveled. But the biggest and the most pivotal turn in your life came in 2002. Our audience, and of course, I would also like to know, how has been the journey thereon?
Afghanistan was definitely a big moment in my life. When I went there in 2002 to co-found the Kabul Beauty School, that was something that was so remarkable. Everything about it was amazing. It was so difficult. It felt like I had walked into a world that so many people had not seen. So it was difficult. It was rewarding. It was frustrating. I felt like I could do more in one day of my life in Afghanistan than what I could do in a lifetime in the United States. And that was probably my driving force. And I loved working with the Afghan women. It was remarkable.
I'm sure, as I too had the opportunity to visit Afghanistan, meet the locals. I mean, it was an experience of a lifetime. And now we have Karen with us, who has known Debbie for a very long time. She has sent a special message for her. Let's hear her out.
Hello, my name is Karen Kinney, and I have known Deborah Rodriguez for over 20 years. She is a selfless individual and the embodiment of the word humanitarian. Whether she's helping at Ground Zero or raising funds to build a school in Afghanistan to teach the women the art of hairdressing, Debbie inspires me. She inspires me to look around my own community and find the women who need help that might otherwise be overlooked.
Thank you so much, Karen, and very rightly you have said that Deborah is one such kind of a person who can really go out of the way to help people. Deborah, thank you so much once again for doing this interview. Now my next question to you is that you are a multifaceted, multi-talented woman raring to go. Where did this author take place in you? And could you please tell us about your first book?
When I was in Afghanistan, I knew I was witnessing some pretty incredible things and hearing some amazing stories. I also knew that, I felt like I kept notes. This is how it all started. I was so afraid that, number one, I was going to forget what happened and that I was going to forget these stories. And Afghanistan, it was such a huge part of my life that I, number one, didn't want to forget anything. Number two, I was alone often after leaving the beauty school. And so I had a lot to process. So I journaled. And so by the time that I began the book, I had already written about 400 pages of just me purging everything that needed to come out. So part of it was the book birthed because of my mental health. And so just keeping record. So that was one of the most important things for me.
Okay, in fact, since I'm an avid reader myself, I have noticed that authors, when they write their first book, is like a journal of a sort. It's like something from their life experience which they pen down into a book. Deborah, I would like to know more about your other books.
Well, The House on Carnival Street is also a nonfiction book, like the Kabul Beauty School, and that actually takes place here in Mazatlan, Mexico, and does kind of the continuation, and it goes into when my salon Tippy Toes was born. The Little Coffee Shop of Kabul and The Return to are very popular books, and those are fiction books, but they take place in literally inspired by my real coffee shop in Kabul. The Zanzibar Wife takes place in Oman and in Zanzibar. Again, that the restless feet in me. I love adventures. I love seeing what takes place kind of behind the scenes in a lot of these countries. My last two books, Island on the Edge of the World and The Moroccan Daughter. The island takes place in Haiti, and The Moroccan Daughter obviously takes place in Morocco. And they are, it's escapism. Haiti is a place that we've heard of in the news. You will see Haiti in a different light. Morocco is a place many people want to visit. And so there's some travel escapism, but all my books are female driven. All my books tackle topics and subjects. I'm a storyteller. And so weaving the lives of women in my books is kind of my thing. And so if you like reading a book that takes place in a different country, you like to read tales about women and some of their journeys, then I think my books are definitely for you. You will learn something, you'll be educated and entertained at the same time.
Oh yes, I absolutely loved reading the Kabul Beauty School. I think this is an amazing read. It has all my heart. And I'm going to mention Deborah's email ID and also her website link in the description box. you can go and visit her website and also connect with her on email. Deborah, my next question to you is that apart from writing these amazing books, you also started an organization called Oasis Rescue. So when did you start that and what is it all about? Also, could you please tell us about the project Mariposa? What is it all about?
I started Oasis Rescue when I went to Afghanistan for the beauty school in about maybe 2003 or 4. And that was just basically for the Kabul Beauty School. When I left Afghanistan and the beauty school was no longer in operation, we continued, but we did what's called Beauty Shop in a Box. And it was for hairdressers or students in other countries that possibly couldn't get tools, couldn't afford tools, so we would donate. And then now Mariposa Project is basically focused here in Mexico. It is to sponsor young people in, doing nail techs or estheticians, makeup, hairdressing. But right now, the entire focus for Oasis Rescue is in Afghanistan and to evacuate my staff and the vulnerable families that are in Afghanistan right now and to help them in the resettlement. Right now I have 20 families, about 162 people that we are working to get out of the country.
That's wonderful, and I wish you and your organization all the very best. Now let's talk about your work in the beauty world. You started something called Tippy Toes. Now that sounds so cute. What is it all about and what was the idea behind starting this?
I started Tippy Toes in 2011, and that was basically because I wanted to, get free manicures and pedicures. It morphed into a really cute seaside spa. We do all our in-house training. So in a way, I'm doing the same thing that I did with in Afghanistan, but on a smaller scale. We're training our girls, and we have a nice little spa on the beach in Mazatlan, Mexico. So we're giving employment and we're giving training.
That's great. Deborah, you have had an amazing graph of life, met so many people, traveled so many places, touched upon so many lives. So tell us about how does it feel to have influenced so many people with your books and your work?
Oh, that's kind of I don't even know what to say about that. I sometimes feel removed from that aspect of it. I get people telling me that they've been inspired to do different projects. I feel humbled, I guess. I don't know. I don't think about that very often because it's kind of overwhelming. I guess it's hard to process how many books have been sold and how many people have read them, how many people have taken action because of them. I'm always honored when somebody reaches out to me and tells me that they've been moved or touched or have done something because of one of my books. So I guess what I could say is it's exceptionally humbling.
Well, to let you all know how much Debbie is loved and admired by the people around her, we have Mirelle Ferrari all the way from Nairobi, Kenya. She has sent a message for Debbie. Let's hear her out.
Hi, my name is Mirelle Ferrari and I live in Nairobi, Kenya. I've been friends with Debbie for more than 15 years now and consider myself very lucky to call her a friend. She's someone that is larger than life, lives life to the fullest, gives and lives from the heart. She's that little voice in my head that tells me no matter what I encounter in life, no matter what I'm going through, I have it in me to pick myself up and move forward. She's authentic, loving, giving, I see that with her family, with her friends. She connects no matter where she goes or where she's at. She's an inspiration to all of us. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Mirel, and you have very rightly said, Debbie is an inspiration for all of us, and there are no second thoughts about that. Debbie, I would like to ask you about your days in Afghanistan. I mean, although you have penned down most of your experiences in your books, but it is one thing to read and another to hear. Could you please tell us about the highlights of your stay in Afghanistan, if you could just narrate them to us?
Afghanistan, the highlights are absolutely the women, working with the women, the Afghan people. I've never met a people group that are more resilient, that have suffered extremely. The Afghan women have so much courage, and just being a part of their life, being a part of their families' lives is a highlight for me, and is still a highlight for me because I am still involved with them. The country is so beautiful, and being able to travel and spend time in the mountains was amazing. To see things that not very many people in the world have seen. I enjoyed having my coffee house and meeting all the amazing expats that were working in the country and hearing about all their projects. I enjoyed having a beauty salon there because I got to meet people that in my real world I wouldn't have been connected with, but because I was the hairdresser, I was doing the hair of ambassadors and ambassadors' wives. I was in the middle of something that normally, say a hairdresser from Michigan would not have been thrown into. So I felt between the coffee house and between the salon that I was kind of in the middle of everything, and I love that. I love knowing the pulse of Afghanistan, and that was definitely a highlight. After the women, though, working with the women was by far the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh yes, having a first-hand experience of a place like Afghanistan is something that I can relate to. I mean, I was there for a very short span of time, only for work, but then the memories are still so fresh. Debbie, I would like to ask you about what do you feel about the recent and the present conditions of Afghanistan?
I'm horrified. I never dreamed this would happen. I knew that the Taliban was going to give Afghanistan some trouble when the US left, but I think many of us never dreamed that this situation would take place. It's one thing looking at it from the news, and we're all horrified. I mean, everybody around the world is looking at the news and they're horrified. But when you have your friends there, when you have your staff there, when you have past students there, and they're in a panic, when they're texting you pictures from their window, and they're looking at the Taliban outside their window, and they're on their way to question people in their homes. They're afraid that their daughters are going to be taken by the Taliban as brides. They're panicked. You're feeling this anxiety and panic inside, and then trying to get them evacuated, knowing that you are their lifeline to possibly live or die for freedom, for escape. It's overwhelming. It's my driving force right now to help them. But I'm so saddened. There's hardly any words to explain the grief and the sadness that I'm feeling right now. And the only thing I know to do is to work as much as I can to help the people that I know and their families get safely out of the country.
Absolutely. We can all wish and pray for the safety of each one in Afghanistan. Deborah, according to you, in your opinion, what steps should be taken by the world leaders for the betterment of Afghanistan and its people?
You know, I don't think that I'm qualified to answer that question. I don't know. I think that I'm going to have to pass on answering that question.
No problem. I completely understand your emotional state of mind, especially when your staff and your people are stuck in a place like that. How does it feel? I can imagine. Now, on a lighter note, before we say goodbye to you, I would like to know about your thoughts on our show.
Your show is amazing. I enjoyed so much going through the past shows. It's so entertaining, number one. Number two, I've gotten so much useful information on it and feel inspired by your past guest. It's nice to hear other women talking about what they're doing and where they've come from and the struggles that they've had. And so I really thank you for this platform to encourage people, women around the world to take action. You have made, I'm sure, a difference in the world just having this platform up there for people to know that you can make a difference, you can influence, you can be a powerful woman.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for your kind words. Thank you so much for doing this interview. This is so special to me. We wish you all the very best in your future endeavors, and may we meet someday soon in good times. Take care of yourself, and all you beautiful people who are listening to us for the very first time, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon for future notification, and also follow me on Instagram at sadav.rizvi. So till we meet next time again, take care of yourself, stay safe and be happy.